What's up, everybody? This is N.T Sports Blitz Podcast. I am the fat boy, also known as the Flush Man, but you'll probably hear him call me Neef for most of this episode.
And I'm G Perry 215 Granville, aka G, here to rock out as the co-host with the Flush Man. Episode 1 of the NT Sports Blitz. We excited to bring this content to you and share our knowledge with the world. Let the people know what you're thinking, Neef.
Well, my whole twist. First of all, let's let it be known. Me and G, man, we go back to. I couldn't play in the street. G could play in the street. I couldn't play in the street though. So me and G go back that far. His family know my family. I'm talking about whole families. You know what I'm saying? So we've been rocking for 30 plus years, easy. 30. I want to say almost 35, 33, 35. I remember my first memories of.
We coming up on 4 decades, man.
Something like when you moved out your house, my grandma moved into his house. That's how I went back in the day. That's how close we is. But we ain't gonna hold y'all up with that. You know what I mean, we gonna get to the nitty gritty what we here for.
Yeah,
so G, we want to
jump right in.
Where you want to start at, G?
Jump right in. So the people been starving because the coronavirus came up. It changed the world. It changed everyday life for people, and sports went away as a byproduct of it. And, a lot of people, they rely on entertainment. They rely on sports to give them a breather from everyday life. So sports is starting to come back on the horizon. And a lot of the major sports, they're not going to have fans sitting in the stands when the sports start back up. So it's definitely going to be different than what we was used to seeing in the past. It was a fight on Tuesday night. Shakur Stevenson fought. It was a non-title match, but there was no fans in the stands. Even WrestleMania, they had that move forward with no fans in the stands. So it looks like that's going to be the move going forward with a lot of the major sports. How do you think that's going to affect the teams, the players? What do you think about that, Neef?
First off, I did watch WrestleMania. I still get my wrestling on every once in a while. I sat back and watched it. I had my kids watching it too, and the young ones, the twins, big 5, and it felt weird, man. I ain't gonna hold you. It felt weird. I don't get to pop in like I normally do. I don't watch every week, but I do make it a point to watch WrestleMania every year, and it didn't feel the same. So I definitely feel like it's going to be something to get adjusted to. I love sports so much that I want to see it regard. I found myself, honestly, sometimes searching through the channels, and they be having the PlayStation games on TV,
Right.
And I'll watch that for a second. So I'm so hype about getting sports back into my life, man. I'll take it however I can get it. So,
right.
I'm looking forward to it. What do you go ahead?
So when you watch WrestleMania, would you agree like the energy was probably different because you didn't have an audience there like cheering they favorite person on and just pumping the crowd and things of that nature. So the participants, they can't play off the crowd like they usually would. Like if it's a boxing match, eventually
Right.
The crowd gets involved and they start cheering for whoever they're riding with out of that fight. If it's wrestling, you usually got the villain, you got the good guy, and the crowd is getting involved. So what do you think the big picture outlook is going to be with major sports going forward, with that being the case? You got football. If you're playing at home, you got your fans. They're making crowd noise when the team at the line of scrimmage to distract them. The NBA, they're making crowd noise. You at the free throw line trying to shoot free throws. How do you think that's going to play out in the big picture of things with major sports?
I think it's going to tap into to you as an athlete. You're going to have to tap into yourself. You're going to have to find another if you feed off the crowd. Some people feed off the crowd. So as an athlete, you have to tap into something else. You can get what I'm saying? Like when you at home, you have to tap into the fact that, okay, we don't got the crowd now. I can't get hype, get my teammates hype. So I think it's going to show the mental capacity of athletes and what they can do. Like you said, in football, when you that offense and let's say the defense is home, that crowd, now you're going to see really just who's the best team. Because we've
Right.
had teams had that home field advantage. Whereas though when you at home, Kansas City, it's certain places, when you go in the Arrowhead Stadium, the energy, you get what I'm saying? It's not going to be that no more. So it's going to be 11 on 11. Let's see who really just got it or who's really just having a better game. That crowd affecting the count and stuff like that. NBA as well at the free throw line. You get what I'm saying? The crowd that had that effect on players. So I think it's a couple different things.
So do you think that's going to be more pressure or less pressure on the players? Because it's a completely unique dynamic. Only thing I can compare that to is guys that play AAU basketball and you playing in an empty gym, or you playing in the YMCA league where you don't really have a lot of people in the stands, so you can hear everything the coach is saying in the timeouts. You can hear people clapping their hands. You hear every whistle that when the referee blows the whistle. That's the only thing that I can really think to compare it to. But now you're going to have sports at the highest level with empty gyms. So you think that's going to be more pressure on the players or less pressure?
I think maybe – I know we all probably know a guy who can hoop in the rough house and can't play under the whistle. You know what I'm saying? I think it's guys who maybe not show up in front of the crowd when it's 20,000, and when they in the gym at practice, is a bucket. You get what I'm saying? So we might see guys who we normally aren't used to. I think it's going to work both ways. I think we're going to see guys who use the crowd as energy, not be as effective. And we're going to see guys who necessarily, we might not have known that. We might have just thought, oh, you know what, this is just his game. And his game might step up because of the crowd not being there. You get what I'm saying? So I think we can see a little bit of both. I think we're going to see some guys who step up and be more than what they normally are when 20,000 and all that's going on. I think it's some people who, you know, you got the guys who, like a Rodman, you know what I'm saying? The stuff Rodman used to do on the court, whereas and he get worked up off the crowd or the crowd energy, or you know, AI used to always get worked up off of the, and then you're going to have the guys who just going to get you a bucket regardless of who's there, if you're on the moon or whatever.
The star players or the superstars.
Right.
So speaking of that, the NBA season is getting ready to kick back off. So the NBA, Adam Silver did a really good job getting together with the front office, the league personnel, the coaches, and the players. And they put a plan in place for the NBA to come back July 31st. And they're going to be playing in Orlando at the Walt Disney World Resort. So this is really interesting because there's no home court advantage anymore. And that kind of ties into what we're talking about with no fans being in the stands. Because now home court advantage, that was a big deal. So case in point, the Milwaukee Bucks, they was killing it this season. They had the best record in the NBA to make sure that they secured home court. The Lakers were the number one seed out west, and currently they would have had home court advantage throughout the playoffs until they got eliminated. So now all that hard work that they put in, it kind of is kind of all for naught, so to speak, because they're not going to be playing at the Staples Center. Milwaukee is not going to be playing at Milwaukee where they've been dominating. The Sixers, who had a crazy home road split, because the Sixers had the best home record in the NBA, 29-2, and then they were 10-24 on the road, which was horrible. Now they have to play at a neutral site. How do you think that's going to impact things?
Well, see, what we also have to talk about is the fact that it's been 3 months. So that got to play into it too. So not only are you not, it's not like, okay, we had the NBA and then next week, you know what, we're going to go to Orlando and do this. We're talking about a different scenario 3 months later when, like you said, the Sixers got a healthy Ben Simmons, but we don't know what Embiid eating or how Embiid body look, or you know what I'm saying. So that's going to play into it too. So not only is it the home court advantage in that, it's been 3 months. You know, we done seen teams come out the All-Star break a week later and not have that same energy or that same chemistry that they had going into it. So 3 months, a team that might not have looked that good, you know, starting the season, or might be a 7th seed, might now be revved up for a run. And you know, I think it's open. All that goes away. You know, you can say I can't say.
So this is what I'm concerned about. I understand that they had months of a break, but the facilities wasn't open for teams to be in there playing together. They weren't able to be in there practicing together. So, for instance, the Sixers had a lot of new pieces this season.
Right.
If everything was normal and they had a 3-month layoff, they would have been able to have practices to work on their continuity, get familiar with one another. Like Miami made some trades at the deadlines. They had new pieces to put together as well. But the facilities weren't open for teams to be able to do that. So, and logically, you would think that they would have an advantage because they had that time off, but they actually haven't had the time off to gel and actually play together. So it's really kind of like an even playing field
for everybody.
Everybody got to start at the same time. So I think that the teams that already learned how to play with one another, they did find some continuity. and find out their players' strengths and weaknesses, where they like to get the ball and stuff like that, I actually think they're going to have an upper hand versus the teams that didn't get to do those things, because they're going to be having to learn on the fly, and it might be a bit more difficult. Then you add into that they don't have any home court advantage. Now they're playing at a neutral site. That might make things a bit more difficult.
And you got to take
go ahead.
You got to take into consideration too. There's going to be some injuries. That's going to play a part of it too. Even if somebody ain't missing no games, I'm pretty sure it's going to be some mild sprains and stuff like that. That's going to change some situations too. And you see, I don't know if you peeped it, they talking about adding 17 now instead of 15 players to a roster for this situation.
I did.
Right. So because of that, I think that fact is going to play a role. I think we're going to see some injuries that we might not have seen if we play all the way through. It's a lot of different elements. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting. I hear people saying, it's the middle of the summer, people going to be vacationing. Listen, I'm going to be on vacation.
Sports. People love sports. Whether they're on vacation or not, they still watch the game if they can watch a game.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch. Another thing that you pointed out to me a few minutes ago that I wasn't aware of is the fact that I appreciate the fact that the NBA didn't just go the 22 teams and split it East-West 11-11. I appreciate the fact that they gave every team that had a winning record or close to being in the AC. Like you said, it's what's the number again, G? As far as
13 teams in the West and there's 9 teams in the East.
Right.
So
and
what they did, they had to find a way to bring some kind of balance. Is what they needed to do. Teams that had no shot at catching the 8th seed, they were basically eliminated from being able to continue to play, like Atlanta. And I know the Atlanta Hawks, they were in their feelings and upset about it, but they're only coming back and playing 8 regular season games. They don't have enough time to make up the gap in the distance. So they had to put a formula in place that, okay, we have 8 games. This is how many games behind they are. Do they realistically have a chance to catch or pass that team that's in the 8th spot? So, like for me in the Eastern Conference, there's no excitement with a chase for the 8th because Orlando is the number 8 team in the East, and Washington is the only team out of playoff contention right now that's going to be able to continue their season. But Washington, in my opinion, they can't make a dent in the playoffs. They have no shot playing the upper tier teams. The top 6 teams in the East, they will all blitz Washington off the court if they played in a 7-game series. Because back in the day, when you had 5-game series with the NBA, if a team got hot, they can luck up and upset that team because it's a shorter amount of games that you're playing. But when you play in a 7-game series, nobody's winning by accident. The best team is going to win that series. That's what's going to end up happening at the end of the day. Unless you have an idiot that's coaching and they do a piss poor job of preparing their team, 9 times out of 10 when it comes to basketball, the best team is going to win out of a 7-game series. Now flip over to the Western Conference, you got a little more intrigue. Because Memphis is currently in the 8th seed, but you have the San Antonio Spurs, Sacramento Kings, and the New Orleans Pelicans.
And the Blazers.
And the Blazers. So it's the Blazers, the Spurs, and the Kings
Suns too.
Are only 3 games out behind Memphis. And then another team is about 4 games out, and then Phoenix is like 6.5 games out. I don't think Phoenix has a shot at coming back. They have so many new pieces on their team between the rookie players, free agent additions. It's just not their time yet. So I don't see them making any noise. But the race for 8th in the West, and that's something that's interesting because Memphis, they got their system put in place. They started to gel. They started to play better. Ja Morant was playing at a high level. He was probably the front runner for Rookie of the Year based on the body of work he put in before the season was interrupted. And then their veteran pieces that they had as well, they started to play some good ball. I know they was playing a lot of running gun because Memphis played at one of the fastest paces in the NBA, but that's smart. If you got guys that can get out and run, then play to their strengths. Don't try to slow them down and put them in the half court how Larry Brown like to run ball.
Right.
But the race for the 8th, what you think about that? These teams that got a shot to compete and get that last playoff spot out west.
Well, like you said, yeah, it's definitely going to be fun to watch. The Pelicans, another team. They were just seeming to gel before everything happened. Zion, Brandon Ingram was having a hell of a season.
First time All-Star.
Right.
Drew Holiday.
Lonzo was looking. I think Lonzo averaged like the last, I want to say 7 games, might have averaged like 21 or something.
He was playing good, and he worked on that 3-point shot and starting to hit that consistently too.
Right. So I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch, definitely. So who you got getting it? I'm gonna stick with Memphis. I think Memphis gonna get that 8th spot.
I think realistically, like Memphis is probably going to get it because there's not enough games for the other teams to catch up. Now, as far as who could do the most damage, I think Portland could do the most damage if they were able to get in the dance because Portland, they had a ton of injuries. So Yusuf Nurkic is their starting center. He didn't even play all season because he broke his leg late in last season. So with his long layoff, that gave him more time to prepare and get back. Dame started dealing with some injuries. So now if you get those guys back on the court with all their weapons, I think that Portland can do the most damage because of what they bring to the table. They have so much firepower. They have experience. Dame led Portland to the playoffs a few seasons now. He ended OKC season last year with that long bomb in Paul George's face and sent him home. Sent Houston home years back when he hit that long 3 at the buzzer. So C.J. McCollum, he'd been there with him. He got a running mate. Melo was there. Melo got shape. Melo started playing at a high level. So if any team could make it in at the 8th seed, I think Portland is the one that could do the most damage. As far as excitement, I think that New Orleans would be the most exciting team to get in because whoever get that 8th seed, they're going to be playing the Lakers or the Clippers in the first round, which is a daunting task in itself. But New Orleans, their style of play, they play run and gun just like Memphis does as well, and they got a lot of young guys out there. You want to get up and down the court. So Lonzo was the one running the point guard, but you got Drew Holiday, Zion to throw lobs up to, Brandon Ingram is like a Swiss Army knife. There's so much he could do on the court. And they got J.J. Redick, the spray the court, bombing threes, veteran leadership. They got Derek Favors at the 5. They got the young kid Jackson Hayes off the bench that started
him
at the 5.
Yeah.
They got Jahlil Okafor off the bench. That he gave them some solid minutes this season. Even though he a throwback player, most teams they want to go small ball in today's NBA. So when they're putting him in the game, that is actually creating a mismatch. And when Jahlil Okafor get minutes, he put up productive minutes. He a
bucket. He a bucket, definitely. He can get you a bucket.
Because he's a mismatch. He got that old man game. So Alvin Gentry, I think he did a damn good job as a coach this year, given the fact that they had all those missing pieces, them injuries. Zion was gone for an extended period of time. Then they had to work him back in. So just being able to adjust on the fly, I think he did an excellent job with that. But who do you think is the front runner in your opinion?
The winner, though? You going to do the East and the West?
Yeah. From each conference, yep.
Call me a homer. Brother, call me a homer right now if you listening. I like the Sixers, man. I ain't going to hold you. Them piece. I really thought that Al Horford's addition would be more impactful. I really felt like he was the missing ingredient. I really felt like that. They got some pieces too that came in later on. Glenn Robinson III,
Alec Burks,
right? I really feel like, honestly, I don't see it being Milwaukee. So I definitely I'll say Philadelphia, but I like Boston too, man. I ain't gonna hold you. I like Boston, but I'm gonna say Philadelphia in the East.
Okay. Why don't you like Milwaukee?
Because I feel like I don't trust Chris Middleton. He hasn't showed up in the playoffs. Eric Bledsoe, I don't trust him. I mean, Giannis is a lot. Giannis does a lot, and he does a lot for them. They got a lot of pieces too. I mean, like I said, they've been a front runner, but in the playoffs, you know, that Raptors series really wasn't a good look for them last year, especially being up 2-0.
Yeah, they were up 2-0. So what I noticed in sports, in football, you can go from worst to first. You can go from being a bad team and get it all together, win a Super Bowl. It don't work like that in basketball. In basketball, you got to pay your dues. So you got to go through the playoff wars. You got to go through wins and losses and stuff like that. Just look at the Sixers when AI was here. The Sixers made it to the playoffs finally, and then they got eliminated by the Pacers in the first or the second round. And then they got back in the playoffs again, and then they figured out how to beat the Pacers. And then they went to the next round. And that's how I go in basketball. So Milwaukee, they've been in the playoffs a few years now with Giannis leading the charge. And last year they made it to the conference finals. They were up 2-0. All they had to do was win 2 more games. They would have been in the NBA finals.
Right.
But Kawhi is a different beast, and Kawhi is not there to stand in their way, because Giannis he's super unique. He has like elements of a lot of different players. You need a super unique individual on the other team to stop him. And
Right.
he can carry a lot. So whoever it is that would take Milwaukee out, they have to have a special player to be able to do that. The Sixers do have some special players.
Al Horford played him very well when he was with the Celtics. Played him very well.
Okay. But I think earlier in the regular season when the Sixers played Milwaukee, Joel Embiid did an even better job matching up against Giannis because of the physicality. Right. So I think that layoff is helping the Sixers from a health standpoint, because Ben Simmons had the back injury that came out of nowhere. Well, actually, he fell in the All-Star game. I saw that. He fell in the All-Star game, and a couple games later, he had a back injury.
Right.
But Ben Simmons was hurt, and they had no set timetable for when he was returning. But Ben started to turn it up on the court this year. You know, he has his detractors because he don't shoot a consistent jump shot, and he's not taking three-pointers. But that was never my issue with Ben Simmons. My issue with Ben Simmons is aggressiveness. If Ben Simmons plays aggressive, he cannot be stopped, because if he's attacking, that means the defense got to collapse on him. He's 6'10". He athletic. He can bang on you. So if he's attacking and he's drawing all the defenders, he's also an excellent passer. So if you collapse on him, he easily can dish the ball to the open players, and that's an easy bucket. The more free throws he shoots, the better free throw shooter he's going to become, because he's going to get more comfortable with that process. But a lot of things is mental. And then Embiid, you know, he always had these nagging injuries left and right. Josh Richardson had a hamstring injury, so the Sixers have really got hampered by injuries. I think that layoff is really going to help them a lot. And my only concern with the Sixers is that they were so lopsided with their home record versus their road record. So now they're going to be playing on a neutral court. From a talent standpoint, the Sixers can go toe-to-toe with any team in the NBA. But where's their heads at? What's their mentality when they're not playing in the comfort of their own home? Because I know Ben Simmons said the reason their home record was so good is because they feared the wrath of Philadelphia fans if they lost at home. So now you don't have that to rely on. Now you got to go out on the road. You got to man up. You got to have a pair, and what you going to do on the road. But so you said the Sixers coming out of the East.
Quick on the Sixers tip real quick. You was talking about that All-Star game, and B showed in that All-Star game. If you watched the end of that All-Star game, he took over that game.
He was going to work.
He took over that game. And also, Ben Simmons, when Embiid was out and we pushed the ball, what's wrong with pushing the rock? You take it out, we push the rock. We don't got nothing, then we slow it up and go into our offense.
And exactly. But what I don't like is them slowing it up and then Embiid trailing up the court and they pass it to him, he jacking the three. That's big. That's not no winning formula. So the same way he recognized getting a low post in the All-Star game and dominate, he need to have that same mentality when we're playing and, like, stop making excuses.
But see, the issue is, and I don't think it is an excuse, is the fact that Ben Simmons hasn't proven to – a lot of those times when you got Embiid out on the perimeter, you got Ben Simmons in the post. If he got a jump shot that we can respect, then he can move outside and Embiid. You can't have, in today's NBA, Embiid and Ben Simmons both down low. But when Ben Simmons is up at the top of the key, it's like playing 4-on-5.
Got you. So coaching adjustment. Put Ben Simmons at the foul line. Put him in a high post. Al Horford can go out to the top of the key because he's a better shooter than Ben Simmons. Or he can go to the corner. Corner threes is the easiest three-pointer to shoot.
Right.
That's coaching. So just move your players around and put them in the proper position. The job of the coach is to put your players in the best position to win. I had so many issues with Brett Brown because I personally feel the Sixers should be farther ahead. And they would be farther ahead if they had a better coach. Because I don't feel like Brett Brown holds his players accountable. And I think a lot of the fans in the city agree with that. If Ben is refusing to shoot, you sit his behind down until he commits to what he need to do for the best interest of the team. If he's not willing to do that, you go sit his behind down. But Brett Brown, he's like buddy-buddy with Ben Simmons because he's known him since he was a kid. So I don't think he's willing to have that sternness. Like Greg Popovich, Pop is calling a timeout. You don't run the play, timeout. You don't make your defensive assignment, timeout. And he pulling your ass out the game and sitting you down. But Brett Brown, he's not that type of coach. But there's a lot of adjustments I feel he don't make that he needs to make. Case in point, Shake Milton. Shake Milton can play. He was in the G League for most of the season. And the only reason that he got on the roster and started playing was due to injury. Now, injuries happen. My man came out and was bombing threes, good handle, consistently hitting jump shots. He should have been in a rotation a long time ago. So the Sixers have so many pieces. I just feel that they don't have a coach to get them over the hump and get them to that level. My thing that I see similar to the Sixers is like the Lakers back in the day with Shaq and Kobe before they won the title. They had the same exact team, but Del Harris was their coach. Del Harris left, Phil Jackson came in. Same team, championship.
Let me correct you. They had Del Harris might have had a better squad with Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones. When you trade Eddie Jones and bring in Glenn Rice for 1 year, and then Nick Van Exel, I don't know what they did with Nick Van Exel, I forgot. Del Harris might even had a better squad than Phil had when you got Ron Harper or who was running the point for I think Ron Harper was the first championship. Who was the point guard? It was somebody big though.
It might have been. It probably was Ron Harper. But to respond to what you're saying, from a talent standpoint, maybe. From a gel standpoint, no. Because Nick Van Exel, he's not no defender.
Right.
He's excellent on the offensive end, but then you got Shaq, you got Kobe, you got Glenn Rice. You can't have all firepower with no balance.
Right.
So Ron Harper, he don't need the ball in his hands. Ron Harper was an excellent defender for the majority of his career. Ron Harper learned from Mike and Scotty. So that was a better fit. You need role players to balance out with the superstars to make the team better. If you got it just in my opinion, it was a better fit. And then Kobe needed Eddie Jones to move on, so Kobe had the proper amount of time to be on the court to blossom and his thing.
No doubt.
But go ahead to your Western Conference team.
Man, I don't know. I'm a Laker fan, so I got LA all day. Man, I ain't gonna hold you.
You a Laker fan?
Yeah, Laker fan all day, man. So
where was you born and raised?
I'm born and raised in Philly, but I was.
How you a Lakers fan?
As a young boy, I like Magic. I'm talking about real young. I remember Magic. So I came, and I've been through the struggles. I've been through the Elton Campbells and the Cedric Sabalas, and I went through all that. So, I was there, for a long time. Even when Shaq left and everybody left, and
Kobe was trying to leave too.
Yeah,
Kobe was trying to leave too.
He was. We had Smush Parker and
Kwame Brown. Man.
Yeah, I've seen some dark days in LA. So,
right, but I respect it.
I got LA taking it all. Who you got?
So you think that the Lakers are going to be able to come together and gel? Because again, no home court advantage. That's what they played for throughout the season, was for that home court advantage.
Right.
That's gone. So that goes back to what we talked about in the beginning with role players, because you were saying certain guys are going to step up because there's no fans in the crowd that you wouldn't normally expect to step up.
Right.
If their role players are good enough to get them over the top. Because, with 7-game playoff series, they make coaching adjustments. Teams going to take away what you like to do. They're going to look at what your strengths are, and they're going to come up with a strategy to take that away. And you need somebody else to be able to step up. What LeBron's going to do. LeBron's going to do what LeBron's going to do. If AD stay healthy, then AD, he's going to do what he's going to do. Who else is going to step up? Who's going to be that third cog that's reliable, that's going to be able to get them a bucket when they need it?
First off, I think AD gonna have something to prove. You know what I'm saying? He's finally here. There ain't no excuses. You're not in New Orleans anymore. So, and I think, and we've all seen players like Paul Gasol when he was with Memphis. A lot of guys set out games and stuff like that because you're not winning. You're not in a winning situation. So you're not as urgent to play through those injuries. Right. I think this is his introduction. We've seen him beat Portland that year, and we wasn't really checking for it. Like, you in LA. You know what I'm saying? You with the Lakers, you playing with LeBron. This is spotlight time, get off time. It ain't too many people with that skill set that can handle him. Now, the guys who you say who can step up and give you something. Kuzma hasn't given us anything all year. Besides that one game, it was a game when LeBron or AD played, and he had like 35. So
he was on fire.
I feel like he got to step it up. You can't let you was used to starting and all that. I don't know what it was, a mental thing. All these hairdos you got going on, the blonde hair, go ahead, cut it off and get back regular and go give me 18. I feel like he can do something. I feel like Dwight Howard is, he's not necessarily a bucket getter like that, but he's adjusted very well to the
his
position
role.
They put him in. Right. And he's an example for anybody. He's the example to go by. because he came in and he's become a part of the team. And so I feel like, you know, Dwight, I feel like I think you got enough pieces. You don't know what Deion Waiters going to be. You don't know. We've seen Deion Waiters be good. Then we've seen goofy stuff with Deion Waiters.
He hasn't even played. He might have played one game all season, and that was due to injury. But he did head case off the court, so I can't even count him. He's just at the end of the bench.
But we don't know where he at. You know, mentally. Caldwell Pope was looking. You know, he can get you a bucket. We got the Morris brother. We ain't seen what he can do yet. Maybe he in good shape. I mean, like with this 3-month layoff, we don't know who we getting. You don't know who you getting as far as when the season ended and when they coming back. So, you know, I'm not sure yet.
I want to say the Clippers, but I really like Denver.
Denver? Why? Because main man lost all that weight?
This layoff allowed Jokic to get in shape. Denver made it to the second round of the playoffs last season. They lost in Game 7. They should have been playing Golden State in the conference finals, not Portland.
Right.
But, you know, they were young. Young teams got to go through the playoff wars and get that experience up and learn how to step up in key moments and things of that nature. So Denver, they went through that already. And they're deep. Like, they're 12 deep. All their players can get on the court and hoop. So Denver is so versatile and talented, and they've been together that I think they might be able to do some things. Now, again, that neutral site might come in to be that hindrance, and I might have to just go with the Clippers, because the thing that tips the scale for me with the Clippers is really just Kawhi, point blank, period. Because the dominance on both sides of the court.
Right.
The dominance on both sides of the court. He's been there and done that. He's won a title with the Spurs. He led Toronto to the chip last year. So Kawhi has that experience already. Doc Rivers already won a championship before.
Paul George hungry.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I would want to see Denver step up and fulfill their potential. But I honestly think that the Clippers are better suited to top everybody out in the West, because the Clippers roster is cheating right now. They basically have 2 starting lineups. They have 2 starting lineups and some great role players besides that as well. So Zubac is starting at center, and then you got Marcus Morris, Kawhi, Paul George, and Pat Bev is your starting 5. You bring in Lou Williams off the bench, averaging 19 points.
Oh, shit. What happened? Oh, my shit. Yo, G.
For the top.
My bad. I missed that. My drink was acting dumb. I got you. But them teams, you can hear me, right, G?
Yeah, so I said the Clippers. I would love to see Denver, but I think the Clippers out west. I ain't give you a team from the East. I just think Milwaukee is battle-tested. The East, for me, is wide open, to be honest.
Right.
Because Boston isn't deep, but Boston is really talented and versatile. And this change to positionless basketball, you got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward with Kemba Walker on the court. That's a lot to deal with.
Right.
And all those dudes can get buckets. And then Marcus Smart is like the ultimate role player. He could defend. He go and dive on the floor for loose balls. He worked on his three-point shot. So I like Boston. Brad Stevens is a good coach. Toronto showed me something different this year. Everybody thought Toronto was going to fall apart because Kawhi left. And Nick Nurse is a hell of a coach. Nick Nurse stepped up and coached some boys up, and they actually got a better regular season record this year than they had last year with Kawhi. So the East for me is a toss-up. I don't even have a favorite. I don't have a favorite. I'm just curious to see who's going to step up and rise to the cream of the crop out of the East, because no team, in my opinion, like separated record-wise. Milwaukee separated themselves, but then playing Toronto and playing Boston, it could be some difficulty there. So I'm just curious to see how that's going to play out.
So who you got winning it all?
I'm gonna go with the Clippers. I got the Clippers winning it all because of Kawhi, man. That dude is different. Me with sports, I love excellent defense.
Right.
Not only do Kawhi bring excellent, he a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year winner. And on top of that, he went and worked with Kobe on his offensive game. So now his offensive game is just as killer as his defensive game. Then you got Paul George, his running mate, who offensive game is just as good as his defensive game. Then you got Marcus Morris from Philly, tough, rugged defender, could hit an open shot, could make a three. They're just they're too top heavy in my opinion. They have too many options. So let's see, you need a shot late in the game and you double Kawhi. Who you gonna leave open? Lou Will gonna be in the game at that point if it's clutch time, not Pat Bev. So they just have too many pieces that they can go.
My bad, G. What'd you say?
You good. But we gonna move on from that. So you brought something up. You asked who was the better player, Larry Bird or KD. That was the question that you had, Neef?
Yeah, that was the question I had.
I'm gonna let you go ahead and start with that and just give me your thoughts on it. And I got some fire for you. But go ahead.
Okay, now I can keep it G and say I don't remember thoroughly Larry Bird in his prime. I can't sit back here and say I've watched Larry in his prime. But to me, if I chose a person's game to have, I would want KD game. We talking about 35 feet from the basket. He's a shot, handle. He can go to the post. He can drive. Total game. So for me personally, I would choose KD. But I'm man enough to say I didn't get to see in real life Larry Bird in his prime.
So I need you to tell me what your question is specifically so I don't mess this up. What is your question in regards to Larry?
Who's a better player?
Larry Bird was on the court doing this thing, but we love sport. Larry Bird is the greatest white basketball player in the history of all time. So I'm gonna give you Larry Bird resume because I was going through Larry's resume. I already knew that Larry was the man, but Larry's resume is sick. You go back to college. Larry Bird in his college career averaged 30 points a game, 13 rebounds a game, 4.5 assists a game for his college career, and he led his team to the title game against Michigan State. Larry Bird played for Indiana State. He didn't play for Indiana with Bob Knight. He played for Indiana State Sycamores, and he led them to the national title game. All right? So he did that in college. Get to the NBA. Rookie year, Larry Bird averaged 21 points, 10 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 2 steals, made the All-Star team, won Rookie of the Year. Boston won 32 more games in his rookie year just with him being there. They made it to the conference finals in his rookie year. Just how bad Larry Bird is.
Right.
Larry Bird had his first triple-double within like the first 2 months of the NBA season. His triple-double was 23 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists. That's what type numbers he put up. So let me keep giving you his resume for his career. Larry Bird averaged 24 points, 10 rebounds, 6.5 assists for his career.
Right.
Larry Bird is a 3-time NBA champion. He won his first championship his second year in the NBA. Year 2 in the league. So year 1, he led his team to the conference finals. They lost to Doc and Moses. They lost to the Sixers.
Right.
Year 2, he won a chip.
Right.
He's a 2-time finals MVP. Larry Bird won 3 straight NBA MVPs. Larry Bird won 3 straight NBA MVPs. He ain't just win 3 total. He won them 3 straight years in a row. That let you know he was on a different level. Larry Bird is a 3-time all-defensive team player as well. He played on both ends of the court. Larry Bird, 3-time three-point contest champion. Larry Bird, 2 times. He made the 50-40-90 club. Larry Bird, the one that invented that club. That means you shot 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 90% from the foul line. My thing is, what can KD do that Larry Bird can't do?
Okay, dribble. He got a way better handle.
Go back and watch the film. Go back and watch the film. But go ahead.
Let's keep it 100 though. Athletically, competition-wise, is it more athletic now or more athletic then?
Did you just say competition-wise?
Yes. Physically, I'm talking about athletically, G. I'm talking about athletic.
Basketball is not just about athleticism. If all basketball was running and jumping, then athletic people would just dominate the sport. You have to have skill.
No doubt.
This is what a lot of people miss when they talk about basketball. You need skills. You need to be able to shoot. You need to be able to make a bucket. So what I hate about today's basketball in the United States is it's about shooting threes and dunks. It's more to basketball than that.
Right.
Make a mid-range jump shot. Most players in today's NBA can't even make a mid-range jump shot.
Right.
So skill-wise, I think the NBA was better in the 80s and the 90s, skill-wise, because they could do that stuff. Athletically wise, yes, today's NBA is better because technology, because medicine has enhanced, because nutrition plans, they got access to so much more. So if those same players of the past had that same stuff available to them, then their bodies will be different as well.
Right.
But skills is different.
Right now in today's league, do you think Larry Bird will play the 3 in today's NBA?
Today's NBA is positionless basketball.
Right, but what would you put Larry Bird at?
He would play the same positions that LeBron play. LeBron swing between the 3 and the 4, and he play point guard. Larry Bird does everything that LeBron does, minus the athleticism. Larry Bird did everything that LeBron does, minus the athleticism. Go back and look at Larry Bird numbers, and you will see that his stats was very similar to the stat line that LeBron put up. LeBron won NBA MVP averaging like 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. And everybody is hyped like, oh, he's almost averaging a triple-double a game. I just let you know that Larry Bird, for his career, averaged 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 6.3 assists for his entire career. So that means that it was years that his numbers was higher than that. But let me give you some comparison.
Okay, please.
I'm going to give you KD resume. So KD played 1 year in college. Larry Bird won National Player of the Year in college also. So KD in college at Texas, KD averaged 26 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist. He won National Player of the Year. His team lost in the second round of the tournament.
Right.
They got upset. Larry Bird led his team to the title game. All right, NBA career, KD won Rookie of the Year, just like Larry Bird did. His rookie numbers, he averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. And his team didn't win anything. Career numbers?
G, hold on, G. When you do that, though, we got to keep it. Who was on Larry Bird's team? Did he not have Robert Parrish? Who was on KD team? One person don't take a team to the playoffs. So when you talk about records, as far as what the team, where the team, we talking about, okay, just like you saying that, he went to how many finals? Who was on that squad? You talking about Hall of Famers. You talking about Dennis Johnson. You talking about Kevin. Wasn't Kevin McHale a 6-man in one of them squads? Kevin McHale, a 6-man.
Kevin McHale was like in his second year in the NBA.
Right.
Kevin McHale was in his second year in the NBA when Larry Bird arrived.
Bro, so you got 4 Hall of Famers on the squad, though.
Kevin McHale was in his second year in the NBA. Let's keep this in perspective.
I understand it.
What was Scottie Pippen like in his second year in the NBA?
He was solid, but he wasn't.
He wasn't anything. This is my point I'm trying to make to you. Kevin McHale was in his second year in the NBA when Larry Bird got there.
Right.
Robert Parrish was in the league longer because he old as hell. And he always
Dennis Johnson.
But Robert Parrish had just got there. Larry Bird was the difference maker. Larry Bird was the difference maker.
Won Danny Ainge there too?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah, not yet. Not when he first got there. Larry Bird was the difference maker. His team won 32 more games. Yo, that's a drastic jump.
Right, that's a team, though, bro. If you look at the teams, I understand what you're saying, but you got to look at the team. Tell me what the teams was. Tell me who KD had, because he ain't had Westbrook. He ain't had Harden.
He was in Seattle in year one.
He was in Seattle.
So I'm going to give you his career numbers. KD averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. That's his career averages. So he averaged 3 points a game more than Larry Bird. But Larry Bird averaged 3 more rebounds a game than he do. And Larry Bird averaged 2.5 more assists a game than he do. And he averaged 1 more steal a game than he do. KD is a 2-time champ. He a 2-time finals MVP, just like Larry Bird is. He a 4-time scoring champ. And he did the 50-40-90 club once in his career, what Larry Bird invented.
Okay, see, now I've learned a lesson right here. I've learned that I got to get my stat game together fucking with you, because you going to come with the stats all crazy. Okay, yeah. Episode 1 is a learning experience for me, because I see how you – that's why you were so hyped to talk about this shit. I see you setting me up, G. I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I might give you that. I'm not mad at that, and I'm excited with what you came with. So you know what? I might give you this. I might give you that round as far as
Larry Bird got his own video game. Jordan versus Bird. Did KD ever have his own video game? Hell no.
Hey G, come on, G.
Hell no.
Okay, so right now, if you was to build a basketball player and you could take their skill sets, you would take Larry Bird's skill sets over Kevin Durant's?
Minus the handle, yes.
Okay.
Minus the handle, absolutely. Larry Bird got leadership over KD. Larry Bird got toughness over KD. And that trash talking that Jordan do, Larry Bird invented it. Larry Bird was the dude that went out and said what he going to do, and then he went out and did it.
Who's coming in second, right? The three-point contest? I know what you're hitting at.
But it wasn't just a three-point contest. He did that on a basketball court. He told dudes what he was about to do, and he did it.
He told white boys, yo, who you piss off that they got you sticking me? Because you can't stick me. Bird was a bull, though. I ain't knocking the talent. Don't get me wrong.
The thing for me is the farther along we go, the more people tend to forget the past, and they start diminishing the accomplishments of great players from the past. And I'm not built that way. Like, for years, I argued that Wilt Chamberlain was the greatest basketball player ever. For years, I argued that. I just can't discount what people did on the court like it didn't happen or take place. And then the level of competition. You had Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boys Pistons that Larry Bird was going up against. You had Dr. K, Moses Malone, Andrew Toney, Bobby Jones, and a stout Sixers squad that he was going up against.
Milwaukee had some,
Milwaukee in the 80s was nasty.
Sydney don't get his respect like that.
Right. They had a tough squad. The Atlanta Hawks with Dominique Wilkins in the 80s. They were tough. Like, they went through some battles with them.
The Knicks was tough, too.
Yeah, once Pat got there, they wasn't on Boston level, but once Pat got there, the Knicks started to be a formidable opponent as well. So for Boston to keep winning at a high level the way they were doing year in, year out, and it wasn't even an argument. It was known that Larry Bird was regarded as the best basketball player in the world for multiple years. And then Magic started dominating, so now it was like, okay, it's Larry or Magic. It was like 1A and 1B. That's not the same argument with Kevin Durant, not consistently. He has moments where people said Kevin Durant is the best player, but then people still like, no, LeBron still is. Larry Bird, it was clear cut. Larry Bird was the best thing walking that played basketball. Kevin Durant, he has not accomplished what Larry Bird's accomplished yet, in my opinion. And like I said, what people don't look, if you go back and look at the numbers, Larry Bird put up the numbers that LeBron James put up with less athleticism.
You're right.
But we're going to move on. We're going to move on from there.
All right, we're going to get some football in?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm curious. I'm curious about this one. What do you, when you think of the greatest defenses of all time in NFL history, I'm curious to find out, who do you think is the greatest NFL defense of all time?
So I'm going to preface my answer by saying that if a team didn't win a Super Bowl they can't be the greatest. They didn't win a Super Bowl. You have to have won that Lombardi trophy in order to be the clear-cut number one. So you already know that who it's not. You already know who it's not. The audience don't know who it's not. I'm just letting you know.
I don't know that though, G.
I'm just letting you know. A team would have had to won a Super Bowl to be deemed the greatest defense of all time.
Since
you brought this question up, do you want to give what your answers? I'm gonna give you a top five. I'm gonna give you a top five. Is what
let me give my defense.
Okay.
And a little bit of information. Then I'm gonna let you do what you do.
Floor is yours, bro.
What I picked as the greatest defense of all time is the 1991 Eagles, which had Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner, who I think should be a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
Byron Evans, Eric Allen, who I think should be a Hall of Famer, who in his prime was second best to Deion. That's it. Maybe Rod Woodson, but Rod Woodson was safety. EA was a bull. Stop playing.
Absolutely. I agree.
Andre Waters, don't cross the middle because he will knock your head off.
And Wes Smith was scared of him.
And Wes Hopkins. Now, let me give you some stats. Wes Hopkins had 2 sacks and 5 interceptions. Eric Allen had 5 interceptions that year. Seth Joyner had 6.5 sacks, 3 interceptions. Clyde Simmons had 13 sacks. Jerome Brown had 9 sacks. And Reggie White had 15 sacks and an interception. To me, now, before you go into your shit, that defense ain't had no offense. That's the year Randall got hurt. And we ran with Jim McMahon, and it was terrible, man. We ain't had no running backs. And we had, on offense, we had Keith Byers and Keith Jackson.
And Heath Sherman.
And who?
Heath Sherman was our starting running back.
Was he?
Yes.
No, and listen, since you put me on the spot, don't say ours. Because, G, you wasn't rocking with the Eagles back then. Yeah. I love what the world to know since you put me on the spot. Granville was not an Eagles fan. He didn't like the Eagles when we was young boys. See, I was the one on our block. Me, him, and Dave. Shout out Dave McLee. I like the Eagles. They used to grind me up. Oh, you bum-ass Seth Joyner. And we used to play throw-up. And on throw-up on defense, you was a linebacker. Look, I'm taking you back, right, G?
Why would you do that? Why would you do that to me?
Now, what's crazy is now as adults, I'm a Viking fan. And if people want to know that story, we can go into that another time. But I was an Eagles fan, and G liked the Saints, and Dave liked the Buffalo Bills.
No. Barry Sanders, baby. Lions.
I mean, yeah. Who I said the Saints. My bad, I'm tripping.
That was Sterl.
Sterl, right. And still a Saints fan to this day. Shout out Sterl. But yeah, so that's my favorite defense of all time. We just ain't had no offense, so we would have won the bowl. Go ahead, G. Your turn.
Number 5, 86 Giants. Led by Lawrence Teller.
Pepper Johnson.
Had 59 sacks that year, 24 out. I think that's the year Joe Theismann they ended up winning the Super Bowl. That defense was fierce. Lawrence Teller had 20.5 sacks. Number 4.
Okay. We still here, Jay?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah. My shit acting up. My bad.
It's all good. So I'm going to keep going. Number 4 greatest defense
for
me is the 2002 Bucks, who also won the Super Bowl. They had 31 interceptions that year. They didn't have the sack numbers that the other great defenses did, but their pass defense, you couldn't pass on them. They had Warren Sapp, Hall of Famer. Simeon Rice was the monster off the edge. Derek Brooks, Hall of Famer. Rondé Barber, Hall of Famer. John Lynch, Hall of Famer. That defense was nasty. And Shelton Quarles was that linebacker for them. He used to play for the Eagles. He had like 131 tackles that year. They just had talent on that defense, man. It was unfair, honestly. because that same defense went up against the greatest show on turf, the 99 Rams that won a Super Bowl. They held them to 16 points in an NFC Championship game. Actually, I think the final was like 12-7.
Right.
That was an elite offense. That's how great that defense was. But they're number 4 all-time defense for me, and they just obliterated the Raiders in the Super Bowl. Number 3, 91 Eagles. 91 Eagles allowed 3 yards per carry. They shut the run down and they shut the pass down. That team for the season had 55 sacks and they had 26 interceptions. The reason that they're not higher up on the list for me is because the success they didn't have as a team. They didn't win in the playoffs. They beat the Saints in an upset on the road in the wild card weekend, and they lost to Dallas in round 2. But obviously, our starting quarterback, Randall Cunningham, he messed his knee up earlier in the year, so they was playing lopsided. Now, here's the other thing, though, that you got to take into consideration. Because their offense was so garbage, their defense had to be on the field more. Because their defense had to be on the field more, that also led to their stats being what they were as well. It's a byproduct of it. So I don't take anything away from the players because they had to be great to get the results that they was getting. But it also was like inflated because the offense was so garbage as well.
But let me ask you this though: with the fact that they're on the field so much, that also plays into their stamina.
Yeah.
So they're more likely to be more tired too. So do that play a part of?
I mean, that defense was amazing, but they come in at number 3 for me. Number 2 is the 2000 Ravens, led by Ray Lewis. They won that Super Bowl. 2000 Ravens, you couldn't run the ball on them. They gave up 2.7 yards per carry. That's because they had Sam Adams and Tony Saragusa at D tackle, 2 big bodies, and Ray Lewis just got to run around like a heat-seeking missile, knocking everything down. They had Peter Boulware rushing the passer on one end. They had Rob Burnett on the other end. Dwayne Starks and Chris McAllister was holding it down at safety. Yep. That defense was crazy, man. They had 23 interceptions that season. But in the playoffs, because they didn't have home field advantage, they didn't have a bye. They had to play wild card weekend, divisional round, AFC Championship when they knocked out Rich Gannon, and then they went on and killed the Giants in the Super Bowl. The 2000 Ravens gave up 23 points in 4 playoff games. 23 points total.
They was balling.
And out of those 23 points, 6 of those points was on a kickoff return in the Super Bowl against the Giants.
Oh, including the Super Bowl.
Yes, including the Super Bowl. So 4 total games, 23 points allowed. That's next level.
That's a stat.
And they got the ring. Number 1 all-time defense for me is the 85 Bears. 85 Bears, they the standard. 64 sacks. 64 sacks. 34 interceptions. They gave up 12.4 points per game for the season. 3 playoff games because they did have a bye. So they played divisional round, NFC Championship, and a Super Bowl. They gave up 10 points. And that was in the Super Bowl. 46-10.
Who they played the Super Bowl again? The Dolphins? Patriots. All right. Patriots.
Led by Jim Zorn. They beat them down 46-10. And that 2000 Ravens team, they gave up about 10 points a game for the whole season. Now, they lost their quarterback as well. Tony Banks was their starting quarterback. He got hurt. Then Trent Dilfer stepped in.
Right. That's offense.
They was playing with a backup quarterback too, but they had a better running back. They had Jamal Lewis. Jamal Lewis was a monster.
Right.
They had a Hall of Famer at left tackle with Jonathan Ogden.
Yep.
And they had Shannon Sharp at tight end. They had Shake Sharp.
Right. So and then who's their kick return? The little short boy.
Man, he was crazy. Jermaine Lewis.
Jermaine Lewis. Okay.
So football is offense, defense, special teams. So they defense and their special teams is stout. And they was able to control the ball, the run game. And they had Quadre Ishmael at wide receivers. So they was able to get some big plays in there as well. But my number 1 all-time defense is the 85 Bears. I respect what the Eagles did, but they didn't win a Super Bowl, so they cannot be number 1 in my book without them having won a Super Bowl.
I ain't mad at that. All right, I got another question for you. You know, you might be surprised by my answer on this one. 1 game to win. You picking one of these 2 quarterbacks to win this game for you. Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz. I already know your answer, but you can let the rest of the world know.
Well, if I got one game to win, are we playing a team that got a winning record and a good team, or are we playing a team with a losing record and that's mediocre?
We going into the playoffs.
Okay, so then that says it all I need to know right there. I'm taking
Right.
Carson Wentz because Dak Prescott is not the same quarterback against winning teams. Dak Prescott is below average when he plays teams with a winning record, and actually good quality teams. He's not the same performer. When he plays teams that do not have a winning record, he's an elite quarterback. So if it's one game to win, I got to go with Carson Wentz. I know that Carson Wentz is going to deliver. Carson Wentz is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 4,000 yards in a season and not have a wide receiver with at least 500 receiving yards because he was playing with all backups.
Right.
The best receivers was Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. And
Yep.
he turned water into wine. He got us to the playoffs. He got us to come back and win a division. Dallas had a couple game lead on us. We played them head to head. They went toe to toe. Carson and Dak played one another. Who came out on top? Carson did. So why would I dare take Dak Prescott when I know he don't show up in big games? He's shown that throughout time. Last season when Dallas was on their high horse and rolling, and Dallas fans thought they was going to the Super Bowl, they got hyped because they beat the Miami Dolphins and blew them out. They got hyped because they beat the Washington Redskins and blew them out.
Right.
I knew that if Sam Darnold came back from mono and played, that the Jets would beat Dallas. Sam Darnold came back, and the Jets beat Dallas because Dallas is front runners. That's how they were in the past.
We beat up on Dallas too. Don't forget the Vikings. We beat up on Dallas. Got y'all that division.
Yeah, we appreciated that. But like I said, Dak don't play the same against winning teams. I'm not taking him with the season on the line or one game to win. I'm going with Carson Wentz all day.
This is the one time we're going to agree. I definitely agree. Carson Wentz also. He just got to stay healthy. I think he's definitely. And I know you hate Cowherd, but he said he top 3 or top 4, and I think he right there. I feel like that also. I feel like when you get the weapons right, because Alshon Jeffrey's to me, man. I don't know why they didn't cut him. I don't know if it's a cap hit that's crazy. I don't know why he's still there because he can't stay healthy. He couldn't stay healthy in Chicago, and he was in our division, so I'm very familiar with him. So I think it's going to be a hell of a year, and I think even Carson Wentz might even make being an MVP talk if things go right, man. You put some speed around him. You got Sanders back there. I like Sanders. I think it's going to be a hell of a year for Carson Wentz. But if I, going into one game, I think I like Carson. He just got to, stay healthy and slide or something because it seemed like, them hits did some damage to him, man. So I pick Carson also.
Some of the stuff is beyond his control. What happened in the playoff game with Jadeveon Clowney? I mean, Carson got out there and ran. Clowney speared him. He led with his helmet. He jumped on top of him after he was already down and mashed his head into the turf. That was an illegal hit. They didn't even throw a flag on that play, but Jadeveon Clowney should have been ejected from the game, and the refs let that hit slide. But stuff like that, you can't account for that. It's hard to hold a player's feet to the fire for that type of play. That's something that's beyond your control. But he does have to be more careful with the risks that he takes as a quarterback. Because when he injured his knee against the Rams years back, the year the Eagles won a Super Bowl, that was a play that he took a high risk that it wasn't worth it because it ended up messing his knee up.
And he was having an MVP season at that time. He was in MVP talks.
He was the leading candidate for league MVP because the Eagles was stomping everybody. He was averaging 33 points a game. And they just had so much creativity, so many weapons. It was pick your poison. How you want them to kill you is
right.
But we both in agreement with Carson.
No doubt. All right, we're gonna do one more topic before we end this. I want to go into the NFL finally owning up to the wrongdoing and not supporting players.
Okay.
What stuck out to me it was interesting to see Roger Goodell's statement, but the fact that they didn't acknowledge Colin stuck out to me. Kaepernick, it stuck out to me, because that's what it's really about for real. Let's just keep it 100 and say, you know what Colin Kaepernick was doing. We were wrong and how we played or how we went about it. Or, that's how they went about it. They tried this saying I'm sorry, but almost. Or, you get what I'm saying? It didn't feel 100%. It was okay, but, I'm still not sure about the NFL. How you feeling about how they going about things, G?
They taking steps in the right direction, but they still got a lot of work to do. That does not absolve them and wash the blood off their hands that they have because they did a piss poor job and not hearing out what the real message was when Colin Kaepernick started the protest back in 2016. So instead of hearing this man and seeing what the real issue was, they allowed somebody else to change the narrative and to make this protest about the American flag, about
the military.
Members. Like, that is not what this is about. This is about.
Oh, hey, G, real quick, G. Let's let it be known. We are both ex-military.
Yeah.
I ain't want you to. You can continue, but I'm just saying that's important for people to understand too. That we not.
So you're hearing this from two service members, two veterans.
Right.
I served active duty for 4 years in the U.S. Army. Neef served in the Navy.
5 years.
We are not offended by a professional athlete kneeling during the national anthem. We are offended by racist police officers or white officers or even black officers innocently killing black people. That's what that protest was about. It was about social injustice. It was about systemic racism. It was about black people not having the same opportunities as white people in corporate America, in the workforce, in the banking system, being able to buy houses, purchase land. That's what that protest was about. It had nothing to do with no flag or no soldiers. And by the way, for the people that want to say they're offended by him kneeling, it was a Green Beret soldier who told Colin Kaepernick, you sitting during the anthem is offensive. You taking a knee is honoring the falling soldiers. So it just baffles me when you have people that never served in the military try to take this stance and say you're offending and you're disrespecting soldiers when we're soldiers and we're not offended.
Right.
We the ones that fought for people to have freedom and to have the rights to do the things they want to do on their terms, not to live in a democracy where somebody is controlling your life. So I'm glad to see that player stepped up and did that video, making demands of the NFL. That's a step in the right direction. Because Cat was willing to put his job on the line for what he believed in. And big ups to Colin Kaepernick for that. Because, I mean, a lot of people don't have the courage to step out and put their career on the line. And he was willing to take that risk. And he'll reap the reward for it as his life goes on. But his legacy will forever live on because he did something that was bigger than him. It was bigger than the NFL. And the NFL is starting to finally see that. And a lot of other major sports are starting to see that as well. I mean, you have the world that are in protest because they realize that this is nonsense. Some people wanted to put their heads in the sand and turn a blind eye and not pay attention to what was really taking place. Like Drew Brees made a mistake in his commentary. He should have never took that stance. Talking about his grandfather's fighting the war. This has nothing to do with that. You got to wake up and smell a coffee.
But, and you got black men around you. Like the Drew Brees situation is something in itself. It's like, dog, you look to your left, to your right when you're in that locker room. You're around young black men. You can find out some information. You're right there. 80% of that locker room is black men. Young black men who's dealing with this. And I'm pretty sure these conversations are had in the locker room. So if you're paying attention, there's no way you can miss it.
Yeah. I'm glad that Malcolm Jenkins held him accountable and the other teammates, that they didn't back down and they held his feet to the fire as they should have. But I'm going to leave it there. I know we pressed for time. I think we had a great episode 1.
No doubt.
Take it over from there, Neef.
So we want to thank all y'all for listening. G, I appreciate you. I'm loving where we're going with this. I love the vibes. Honestly, we got a longer list. We just keep it at an hour right now. We'll see how everything go. If you listen, shout us some feedback. If y'all want us to go longer, let us know. If this hour cool, let us know. You get what I'm saying? But this is N.T Sports, NT, which stands for Nice Town, Sports Blitz Podcast, episode 1. And we out of here. Stand by to stand by.
See y'all next week.
All right. Yeah. G, I'm going to call you right now on my phone. All right? Because I got to end this, and when I end it, it's going to go out. You hear me, Jay? Yeah, go on.